Hello everyone, you're welcome back to my channel. My name is Joy White. Thank you so much for stopping by. Please, if this is the first time you're checking on my channel, kindly hit on that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you get notified whenever I post a new video. Thank you. So guys, in today's video I'm going to show you how to cut and sew this wide leg palazzo pants that you are seeing on my screen. So that is what we are going to be doing today. So I'm going to be using this African print in making this particular style. So the next thing I will do is to go ahead and fold my fabric. So I folded my fabric into two. We're going to be cutting the front part of the trouser. So this is what we have. So I'm going to rule out the top line, or we can call it the starting point line. To determine the width of what you'll be folding is your hip divided by 4 plus an extra 7 inches. So that is what I did. So I've gotten my elastic band. Now we are going to be deducting what we have for the elastic band from the length of the trouser. So what I have there is 1.5 inch. So yours could be 1 inch or 2 inches. It depends on what you want to use for your band. So I'm using an elastic band of 1.5. So here is what I am going to do. I'm going to place my tape on my fabric this way, bringing out the 1.5 for the elastic band before I go ahead and take my waist to the hip and the waist to the crotch. So this is what I'm going to do. I'll place my tape this way on the 1.5 and I'm going to take my waist to the crotch. So my actual waist to the crotch is actually 11 inches, but because this is a wide leg high waist palazzo trouser, I am using 13 inches for it. So now the next thing I am going to do is to go ahead and connect what we have there. So after connecting it, what I will do next is to go ahead and come up from this crotch line. I will go up with 2 inches to get the hip, that is the waist to the hip. So I'm going up with 2 inches from the crotch line to get my hip line. So that is what I have done. So this is the waistline, the hip line, and the crotch line. So now the next thing we are going to do at this point is to divide the hip divided by 4. I have 11 inches. So I'm going to add an extra 4 inches to it to make it 15 inches. Remember, this is a wide leg palazzo pant trouser. So that 15 inches that I have, I'll put it on the crotch line, and on the waistline I'll be putting the same 15 inches down. So now that I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and connect what I have there. So we're using the same measurements for the crotch line and for the waistline. So now the next thing we are going to do is to get our crotch extension. So to get the crotch extension, I'll be using 2.75. So you can also decide to use 2 inches or 2.5. It doesn't really make any difference. So but I just decided to use 2.75. So now that I'm done with that, the next thing we are going to do is to get my curve ruler. I am going to connect from this crotch extension. I'll be connecting it using a curve to the hip line. So can you see what I've just done? I have connected it now. So now the next thing we are going to do is to get the full length of the trouser we are working with. Remember, you are going to minus the 1.5 for the band. So I've gotten the length of the trouser, and what I have left is 1.5. I'll be using it for the folding allowance. I'll be using that 1.5 for the folding allowance. So this is what we have for the length of our trouser. Can you see it? So now at this point, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to measure from the crotch extension line. I am taking it to the end of my trouser, the side of the trouser. So I want to get what I have there. So whatever figure I have there, I am going to take it downward straight. So because I want it straight, that is why we are taking the same measurements. So if you want it to have like maybe bigger at the hem, you can go ahead and increase the hem. So but what I want is just, I want it straight. So this is what I'm doing. I'm going to connect what I have there. I've taken the measurement downward and I'm connecting it. So now that we are done with our drafting, the next thing we are going to do is to go ahead and cut out all that we have drafted out. It's as simple as this, how to cut a wide leg palazzo pant. So this is what we have. I'll go ahead and cut it, and the side I will go ahead and open it up. So guys, I folded my fabric again into two. Can you see? We'll be cutting the back of our trouser, and I've placed the front on the back. So now the next thing I'm going to do, I want to quickly mention this. You have to increase the back. What I mean is that when you place your front fabric at the back, you make sure you have an extra 2 inches at the top. Then the side, you have to do what? Have an extra 3 inches at the side for the crotch extension. So I'm ruling out the crotch extension for the back. So this is what we have. So this back is actually a quick one. So for the crotch extension for the back, I'm going to be using 2.5. Remember I said you can actually use 2.5 or even 2 inches is actually okay. So at the crotch depth line, I'm going to use 2 inches. Can you see what I'm doing? I'm adding an extra 2 inches to it, and then I will get my ruler and connect it upward. Remember, we have extended the back with 2 inches extra. So now the next thing I will do is to go ahead and connect from the hip point. I'm connecting to the back crotch extension line. So this is what we have for it. So now that we are done with that, we are going to connect from the back crotch depth line. Remember, we increase it with 2 inches. I am going to connect it using my ruler, connect it to the front waistline. So this is going to be in a slanted form. Can you see it? So I'm connecting from the back waistline, I'm connecting it to the front waistline. Can you see what we have? So this is what we have. So now the next thing we are going to do is on the inseam, I am going to add an extra 2 inches. So I'm adding 2 inches. I'm taking it from that point. I will take it downward. I'll just go ahead and add an extra 2 inches, take it downward, and then I will get my ruler and connect all that we have marked out. So I'm connecting it. So this is going to serve as a sewing allowance. Remember, while we drafted out the front, we did not include any seam allowance to it. So now this is how the back is going to look like. So I'm connecting from the back crotch line, extension line, to the 2 inches that I have drafted out. So now at this point, we're going to go ahead and cut out what we have. Can you see it? We're going to go ahead and cut it out, and this is what it's looking like. So I'll go ahead and open up the side. So now this is what we have. So at this point, we are going to sew the crotch depth line using 0.5. Okay guys, so I've gone ahead to sew it, and this is what we have. I've sewn it down using 0.5. This is what we have for the front, and for the back I am done sewing it, and this is what it is looking like. So at this point, we want to attach a pocket to our palazzo trouser. So I've gone ahead to fold my fabric into 4. What I have there is 4. Can you see it? So now I just cut out this piece. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to place a mark there. I'm just going to chalk out 1 point, and then I will measure 7.5 inches. You can use 7 inches for the pockets, but I use 7.5. So I'll place my hand this way on the fabric, and I'll just go ahead and curve it out. This is actually very easy. You just go ahead and use your free hand and curve it out. There's actually no measurement for this. It depends on how wide you want the pockets to be. So I'll just use my free hand to connect what I have, and this is what it's looking like. So now at this point, I will go ahead and cut out this pocket. Remember, what I have here is 4 pieces of this fabric that we are using for the pocket. So 2 on one side and 2 on the other side. So I'm just trying to chalk it out to differentiate between the front and the back of our fabric. So now at this point, the next thing we are going to do is to get our trouser. I am going to come down from the waistline. I am going to come down with 1 inch. 1 inch, 1.5 is okay, but I think I'm using 1.5 inches. So now this is what I'm going to do. I am going to get one of the pocket that I have cut out and place it right side facing each other. So I'm using right side facing each other. I will go ahead and sew it down. So you have to watch how you place this particular pocket. Remember, it's actually curved. So now I'll come down with 1 inch, and I'll place what is on the fabric using what right side facing each other. I'll place it on the pockets this way, and I'll go ahead and sew it down using what 0.5. If you want 1 inch seam allowance, you can actually use 1 inch. So yeah, I've sewn it down, and this is what we have. Can you see it? I've sewn it down for the front and for the back. This is what yours should look like after sewing it down. So this is what we have. So now at this point, the next thing I am going to do is to place my fabric right side facing each other. I'm placing my fabric. Remember, the back is actually bigger than the front, but not to worry, it's actually okay. Remember, the back is usually bigger than the front. So I'm placing my fabric this way. Can you see it? You have to be careful at this point to arrange what the pocket. So now I'm going to sew. Now from the waistline, I will sew down. Can you see what I'm marking out? I will sew down up to half point of what 0.5 point of where I stitched on that pocket, and then I will go around and sew it this way, and from this other point I will sew it down. I hope you understand what I am explaining here. So I am placing my pockets equally and I will sew it down. So I've sewn it down, and this is what the pocket is looking like. Can you see it? So at this point you can also go ahead and use your overlocking machine on this particular area. So now the next thing we are going to do is to come over to the inseam. So I'm going to place my fabric this way. Remember, we have a join in there, so it has to kiss each other. So you can actually use your pin at this point. So you just go ahead and sew it down. So I have sewn it down, and this is what we have. So now at this point we want to get the measurement for the round waist, for the waist on this trouser. So I'll go ahead and measure out what I have on the waist. So I've gotten what I have, and I've cut out the piece I'll be using. Remember, we are using an elastic band of 1.5. So now what I cut out on fold is actually 2 inches. It's actually 2 inches. 0.5 will be used for sewing. So now this is what I am going to do. I'll place my pieces together. The band, this is actually the band. So I am going to sew using 0.5. I'm sewing to that extent. Can you see how I'm marking it? I will leave out a space that I will use to pass through the elastic band. So I'll go ahead and sew it, and you can actually top stitch it after sewing it. So you can top stitch it, please top stitch it after sewing it. So I've sewn it down, and this is what we have. So guys, at this point I am going to place my band on my trouser this way. Can you see how I'm placing it? So the point where we have the opening is going to be at the front of our trouser. Can you see the way I'm placing it? So I'm going to place it right side facing each other. I'll go ahead and sew it round the waistline. So I'll go ahead and sew it and show you what it looks like. So I've sewn it down, and this is what we have. So at this point, please ensure you use your overlocking machine on this sewn part of the waistline. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to go ahead and cut out the elastic that I'll be using. So now what I have here is 1.5 inch for our band. Remember, that is what we have on the waistline already. So at this point, the next thing I will go ahead and do is to cut out the elastic band. So you have to measure out your waist. So the waist I'm working with is 36 inches. I'm going to go ahead and remove an extra 3 inches from my waist to cut out the band. I initially removed 2 inches, but I discovered it was too free. So it depends on how stretchy your elastic is. So I later went ahead to remove 3 inches from it. So now I'm going to use my safety pin to pass this elastic through this band that we have here. So I'll go ahead and quickly do that and show you. So I've passed it around this waistline, and this is what we have. So you have to spread it out. Ensure you spread it out so that it becomes even. So now at this point, to achieve our double stitch on our elastic band, I am going to come down from the top using 0.5 and sew, and from the other joining there I will use 0.5 and sew it one. So after doing that, I'll fold the hem of our trouser, and we are done with it. So guys, this is what we have for it. So while sewing the elastic band, you have to stretch it. Ensure you stretch out your fabric. You are stretching the fabric and the elastic band, and this is what we have for it. So we are actually done with our tutorial, and this is what it is looking like. Can you see it? Our wide leg palazzo trouser with elastic band. So this is what it is looking like. I love the vibe that this trouser is giving. Can you see it? So this is what we have for it. So please, if you find this tutorial helpful, don't forget to hit on that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you get notified whenever I post a new video. Like and share my video, make your comments. Till our next tutorial again, we will be doing something else. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.